Pins and needles. My feet fell asleep. I sat on my feet for way too long. I sat on my ankles for way too long. And my feet are dead. Pins and needles aching. Hi, it's April wrap-up time. April wrap-up time. Ooh, ooh. Okay. Anyway. Hi, guys. Welcome back. It is like probably my favorite time. I love doing wrap-up videos. I think even more than TBRs. I don't know why, it's just really fun. It is May 1st, guys. It is May 1st. April felt so long and yet so short, and I don't even know like literally how we got here. Like the start of the month, the start of April feels like so long ago, but also April felt like it flew. And like this year feels like it's flying, but also like that feels like so long. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Anyway, we're getting through it day by day. And I ended up reading 13 books this month, which is crazy because I literally like don't feel like I read anything. I feel like I read nothing, but I think it's because I listened to a lot of audiobooks this month. 9 out of the 13 books I read this month were audiobooks. Tell me you're in a reading slump without telling me you're in a reading slump. First of all, the first book I read, which feels like such a long time ago by the way, was Daisy Hates by Jessa Hastings. This book I actually like finished literally the first day of April, so it was technically a March read, but for the sake of, you know, this video, I finished Daisy Hates in April. I can't even explain to you guys how much I loved this book. Like, it fulfilled me body and soul. I was in a reading slump because I had been forcing myself to read from my TBR, and I still am now again trying to read from my TBR. It's not going great. It is not going great, but we read 13 books, so it's okay. But this book was a mood read for me. I had wanted to read this for so long. I'm so glad I did, because like I love this world. I love these characters. I love the tropes. I just think it's great. I would say possibly check trigger warnings because there is a lot of talk of mafia and things that go along with gangs and mafias, guys. But I loved the dimensions, and I love how complex these characters are and how they keep you on your toes. Like, there is never a dull moment with these guys, and I just love it. I think the writing is so poetic, so genius, so lovely. Jessa Hastings is the queen of like I love her. I think that she might be my favorite author. Like, it has been so long since I read a book that made me feel like this book made me feel, and like I just want to tuck this book in with me in bed every night and just like just love it. And I'm so excited to finish the Daisy Hate series. I can't wait to read the next one. Next book I ended up reading was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I think I read one or two other books by Lauren Asher, and they were not my favorite. I was not a big fan of the characters in this book, trans romance kind of vibe. I didn't love the like overall concept or relationship between these two. I felt like our main male character was very kind of like, I feel like he just had a lot of money and it made him seem more romantic than he was. And that's why I'm not like a big fan of like the billionaire trope, just because like, yes, wouldn't it be great if every man were a billionaire and like he could just support me and I could just do whatever I want, and like, you know, yeah, that would be lovely. Why are my cats fighting right now? Giddy with anything that he said or did. I just felt like I was kind of like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, that's really sweet, but you wouldn't be able to do any of that without money, so like, cool. Needless to say, I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it. It just wasn't a favorite of mine. I actually finished, but I'd been reading it for like 2 months, The Gratitude Diaries by Janice Kaplan. This was my self-help or nonfiction book of the month. I've been trying to read a chapter a day. I do not do well sometimes, so that's why it took me 2 months. But I overall love this book. I loved that she took inspiration from a lot of people and talked about a lot of different concepts. I feel like this is just a very good book to read, to really take into perspective how many things there are to be grateful for, like even things that you don't think about on a daily basis, or even I feel like I am very grateful for things in my life, and I do think about things, like even little things. I'm like, I'm so glad that I have this, but it is very easy to get sucked up into the negativity and feel really hard on yourself about things, or really like negative about your environment or things about yourself even. And I feel like this definitely broaches a lot of different topics and how to be more grateful in your life and in your daily life especially. And I just love this book. I highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I ended up reading was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. This book, I've definitely checked trigger warnings. It was very sad, which I feel like is very on brand for Kristen Hanna. And it's actually a Netflix series as well. So I probably will watch the show. I don't think I'm gonna read the second book. It does have a follow-up series or a follow-up book. I just don't think that I like need to finish the series. I feel like this wrapped up nicely for me, and I feel like reading any more will possibly taint my memory, especially because I saw some bad reviews about it. So I might end up reading it eventually, but I don't think that I am in the mood for it right now. This book follows two best friends who grow up together, and one of them maternal and idealistic, and she just kind of wants to like get married and have kids, and like the other main character is very ambitious. She wants to be a newscaster, she wants to be a journalist, she really wants to get out there and have her mark in the world, and she doesn't care about people, she doesn't care about family, she just wants to be very independent. And I feel like you kind of see them grow together, and also as they kind of clash and as they help each other through hard times. And I love this. I love the characters. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. There were some things that I didn't like, and that I did kind of feel like the book dragged on and I got kind of bored, but I don't think that it would be a favorite of mine, but I did enjoy the book overall. The 5th book I read for the month was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is another STEM romance of hers. This is the 4th book of hers that I've read. I read this 2 STEM novellas first, and then I read Love Hypothesis, and then I read this one, and I loved the STEM novellas. I actually rated one a 5-star and another one a 4-star, and then I read the Love Hypothesis, and I did not love it. I did not love it. And then I read Love Theoretically, and I did not love it. So I don't know what it is, the difference between her novels and her novellas, but I was not a fan. I just feel like the characters, like I feel like I always hear people so highly talking about the romance and the banter and the chemistry between the characters, and I did not feel that at all. I don't know if it was like, because obviously it's a STEM novel, so there is like physics talk in it. I don't know if that was like somehow affecting my vibe a little bit. I don't mind, like I love when characters have other things that they talk about and it's not just about the romance. I love when there's concepts of work or relationships with family, other things going on than just romance, but I don't feel like, I feel like I was hearing more about physics, and I was like, I feel like there was more of a vibe between every character and physics than the man. Like I feel like there just wasn't a lot of chemistry. I just wasn't feeling it. And I don't know, it just was not my favorite. So I ended up giving this book a 2 out of 5 stars. I will probably read more Ali Hazelwood books in the future, but I haven't found one of her novels yet that I love. So I will keep looking, but as of now, I did not love Love Theoretically. It was A Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. This one I actually have a physical copy of, but I don't have it with me right now. I actually ended up listening to it on audiobook, just because I was not in the mood to physically read. This is a thriller book. It is like set in Australia. It's set on like this family that lives on the edge of like a cliff, I think. And one night the wife is like, I guess there's like a lot of people that come there to like commit suicide off this edge of the cliff, and this woman is like staying inside with her husband always goes out and like tries to coerce them away, and he usually ends up saving them. But one night he goes out to like help this woman away from the cliff, and his wife looks out the window and ends up seeing that the woman is no longer there, and they end up being questioned by the police. And it's just, that's basically the concept of the story, and like what is going on, who was this woman, You end up just following a lot more about that. But I was not a big fan. I ended up skimming the ending, so I didn't give this book a rating. I just didn't feel like my interest was held. Like, even from the start, I was just kind of like bored. I felt like I was kind of confused because I wasn't following it well. So overall, was not a favorite of mine. I did not rate it. So yeah. Was Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is the second book in the Part of Your World series. I actually got the hold on Libby of Yours Truly first, so I ended up reading that one first. You don't have to read them together. They do have the characters from the first book in Yours Truly, but I don't think that it's necessarily like the biggest deal ever. Loved this book. Like, when I tell you guys, I loved this book so much. For some reason, I could only picture the main male character as Dylan O'Brien, and like, how could you not love a book when the main male character is giving Dylan O'Brien energy? Excuse me. I loved the anxiety representation. It talked a lot about mental health, and I feel like I loved it, especially because it was our main male character who was struggling with his mental health, and I feel like it just showed a great side of him having mental health issues, and then also her helping him through mental health issues, and I just loved it. I loved their relationship. I loved their banter. I loved the way they communicated to each other, and just the overall plot of the story in general. It just gives all the feels, guys. Like, I will definitely be reading more of Abby Jimenez's books, and I'm actually have her new release that I want to read in May. So, little sneak peek into the TBR. But I love this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, so definitely recommend. Like, guys. What the heck? Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings. This book, don't be fooled. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely love this series in general. But this book, I did feel like there were parts following BJ and Magnolia yet again, after they've had a huge falling out and haven't seen each other in a year. This book, I just feel like for a long, like, first half of the book especially, or like most of the book, we just had a lot of back and forth and a lot of the same thing happening over and over and over again, and then like they forget about it and like it happened again, and they forget about it, it happened again. We definitely did get a lot more context, and we got a lot more insight into the characters, which I really liked, and into their background, and I love the side characters. I wish we got to see more of them. And I love the little snippets that we get to see into the Daisy Hates universe and all of the characters. I just love all of the side characters. They're like my favorites, like even more than anyone else. Henry, Jonah, Tara, I don't know. Bridget, Julian, like, I just love all of them. I am obsessed. Like, they're my favorites. But the ending was very sad. It broke me, just like slightly a lot. I was definitely not expecting it at all, and I'm not going to say anymore, but I did have to take a little break. I have not started this next Daisy Hates book yet, just because I'm just kind of in pain. I was going through like so many stages of like grief and anger when I read this book. And I just need a little bit of a break from it. I definitely love the series. Like, if a series can make me feel enough that I need to take a break from it, and it's not because I like don't like the books, then that's how you know that, like, it's like I was living in it, and I was like, I just need some space from you, okay? I don't even want to touch it anymore. The 9th book I read was One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favorite authors. I love her story writing. I love how deeply she thinks. Like, I love hearing her talk about her books and all of the reasonings for the plots and the messages behind it. And I loved this book. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars just because the ending was not my favorite. But this book follows our main female character who is grieving the loss of her husband, who on their 1-year anniversary ended up going missing. He was in a plane crash. He ends up going missing, and he is presumed dead. It's now been like 2 years. She is engaged to another man, is about to get married to him, when she ends up getting a phone call from her husband, who she thinks is dead, and saying that he is alive and he has finally been found. And this book was such a roller coaster. I loved the message behind this book. I loved the characters. I just loved everything. I feel like it was super heartwarming and also like very insightful, and it really makes you think about everything in your own life and your own relationships. And I love this book. I feel like I just love Taylor Jenkins Reid. And next book I read was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I've been hearing so much about these books, especially with the Royal book just coming out. To the audiobook for The Cheat Sheet pretty much in like one day. I really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. It is a fake dating trope it follows and a friends to lovers. So I think it's childhood friends to lovers. No, just friends to lovers. I really enjoyed this book. I love the characters. I feel like their chemistry was really good. I didn't like the ending, and that's what really spoiled it for me, is that I feel like it was just very cheesy, over the top. But I did overall enjoy the book. However, the next book I read was The Rule Book by Sarah Adams, because I did enjoy The Cheat Sheet and I just kind of wanted to read that one too. And I did not enjoy that one. I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars. It does follow the same sports romance topic. It follows another football player who is friends of our main character, of our male main character in The Cheat Sheet. But I just wasn't obsessed. I feel like I thought I was going to be, because I liked the concept of them being a second chance romance concept. Just like the way that their relationship was before and kind of what has happened since. I thought that I was going to enjoy this one more. But overall, I just kept finding myself bored and I just didn't enjoy it as much. But I will definitely be reading more of Sarah Adams' books. I do feel like her books are a little bit cheesy for me. I'm not a big cheesy romance person, but if you do enjoy more rom-com, cheesy romance vibes, I would say I would recommend it. I just think that the rule book is just, it's not the rule, it's just an exception. It just happens, you know. But yeah, I will definitely be reading more of her books. The book I read this month was, where did I put it? The 12th book I read this month was The Second Life of Muriel West by Amanda Scanandor. This one, I think I had it in a vlog that I was trying to read this book. It was taking me forever to get to this book, and I just could not get into it. I ended up listening to audiobook instead, and I got like halfway through it, and I was enjoying it, and then all of a sudden I was just like not, and it just kind of fell off for me. I ended up skimming the ending, so I didn't end up rating this book either. It was just not a vibe for me. I feel like I should have just DNF'd it, but I just kind of wanted to get through it because I was so close to being done. It follows a main character who is a socialite in the 1920s. She ends up getting leprosy and being sent to live into a hospital where everyone there just has leprosy because they're in quarantine basically. And it has a very deep message. I love the messaging and I loved the story overall. I just got very bored, I feel like, during the second half. And overall, this book was not my favorite, but I do think that other people would enjoy this, so I would still recommend it to those who are in this space. I honestly just feel like maybe it was not a good time for me, and maybe audiobook was not the best way to go. The book I ended up reading this month was North River by Pete Hamill. This one I also didn't end up reading because I also did not end up enjoying it. This one I did still read, but I just kind of didn't follow it that well, so I was like, I'm just gonna not rate it, because I feel like maybe that's just kind of like a cop-out, but I was just not a big fan. This book is set in the 1930s, like right after the Great Depression, New York City. He's a doctor in a kind of poor neighborhood, and he helps a lot of people in need around the neighborhood who are sick. He's very closed off after losing his wife and becoming estranged from his daughter, but one day his daughter ends up dropping off his grandson at his doorstep, and he ends up taking him in and caring for him alongside some random woman that comes in to help him. And I feel like the plot of this book is what kept it on my TBR for so long that I really wanted to like it, but it just overall fell a little bit flat for me. So yeah, this one I did not end up reading, I would probably give it a 1 to 2 stars if I had to rate it, but I don't know. I think that it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I don't necessarily want to say that it's like not a good book. Like, I think that it would be a good book if somebody were interested in this topic and this genre. Like, usually I do love this genre, so that's why I had it originally, but it just wasn't for me. That's it. I'm currently reading Funny Story. I'm almost done with it, so it's kind of an April read, but not really, because I'm not done with it yet. But I'm reading Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I think it's gonna be a 4 or 5 star if I could predict things from where I'm at now. I'm like probably 3/4 of the way through it. Enjoying it. I'm also reading Captivating by John and Stasi Eldridge. This is my nonfiction self-help book of the month. This is a Christian book about womanhood and growing up and kind of finding your purpose as a woman and how to appreciate your womanhood. And I am enjoying this book. I don't think it's my favorite, but I am going to continue reading it. And that is a wrap on my April reads. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully I have a better reading month. Like, I had a good reading month, but hopefully I have an even better one in May, and I hope you guys do too. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!